Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
No, it's not an evening. It's a rainy, rainy morning. And it feels like it was ages ago now, the Forest School Association National Conference.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that long ago. Was it 2 weeks?
Long enough that we've definitely procrastinated about getting all this recording done.
But fair dues to us because it's a big thing. We record how much footage
I think we ended up with about 15 or between 15 and 16 hours of recording of just, total audio. And we've pared it down to slightly over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
it's big jobs. And, that's not our main job, is it? Editing things.
You imagine the waffle, if you listen to this and the waffle we've left in, you think about the waffle we've left out, right?
And be thankful.
And be thankful.
It could be worse. May I say as well, listeners, about the audio quality of some of the bits, because it's raining today, but oh my days, did it rain at the conference? It rained and it rained and it rained. And a lot of the workshops and keynote speakers that we've recorded are, in fact, everything is either outdoors in the wind or indoors under canvas. I don't think there's anything that's in an actual building. No. So, Lewis, you've done the best you can, haven't you, with kind of levels and trying to sort it out and make it as good as possible. But if you're thinking, this is a bit rubs compared to the normal, excellent professional standard, then that's why it's like rain drumming on a roof and people kind of sneezing and things like that. So apologies for that. But I'm going to run through what this podcast contains to make it a bit more manageable. So it's going to start with us kind of talking about people arriving at the conference, having a little bit of a chat. And then the first keynote speaker, Jo McAndrews, there's a bit of her speech, and that starts at roughly 9 minutes 30. Then we speak for a while with Forest School practitioner and storyteller and musician and all-round legend Chris Holland, and that's about 15 minutes 30. Then there's a little bit from another one of the keynote speakers, Tony Juniper, and that starts at about 38 minutes. Then there's some waffle from us over lunch. Then we have a bit from the organisation confusingly called The Children's Forest.
No affiliation.
No affiliation, just coincidence. And that bit starts at 53 minutes. And then we have some interviews with Sarah Lawful, Tanya Wetton, and Lauren Mills. And that is roughly 1 hour, 8 minutes in. And then it finishes off with what you described as us losing our minds at the end, which is in the dark.
You wait till you get to that bit, listeners. So enjoy.
That will give you some inspiration to like make it through the whole thing and to listen to us eating pizza in the dark whilst there is a Kaylee in the background. And that is about 1 hour, 37 minutes in.
But we're going to start now with the us sat in the keynote tent as people walk in, having a little chat and chatting to some people as they come through. So we'll see you then.
Please enjoy. Bye.
Had that conversation with lots and lots of people.
Yeah. I did have a deep and meaningful about several different types of therapy that I didn't know about. Like, that's what I like. That's what I wanted to get from this weekend, is like chat to people and go, I've never heard of that, and now I'm going to read a heck of a lot of books about it.
It's almost as if you want people to have, like, the shorthand would be they have a little badge and it says like what their specialist or their special interest is, so that you can like go, cool, we all get Forest School, great, but you do therapy, do you? Let me talk to you about that thing. Or like, oh, okay, you do like crazy zip lines. Let me talk to you about...
Info dump on me now, please.
Yes. I would like to absorb your knowledge.
Yes.
And then you may go.
And your passion. Yeah, cut all the small talk about how are you and where do you live.
But then, do you know what? I wonder if it's a reflex, because so many of us, every other conversation we have is about explaining our jobs and about going like, oh no, it's not like Scouts. No, I am outside. I'm doing this thing. The conference is filling up.
As you can hear. It's so funny because it felt like there were only about 20 people here for quite a long time, and that also freaked me out last night. I suddenly looked up and I was like, there are not 20 people here anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I think a lot of people came really late after work. Like, people were... I was talking to yesterday, like, oh yeah, today I had a kid do... And I was like, what do you mean today? Like, you've been here today. No, people have done a full day at work and then set off.
But we came early to set up, didn't we? We also would have run a session this morning.
That's true.
I think there will be a bulk of people arriving today, which I think is good, because I've also heard some people saying that they're going today, and I think it's quite nice that the way it's structured isn't like everyone needs to be here at the start, everyone needs to be here at the end. It's like, oh right, you do whatever you can.
Yeah, just drop in for a bit, that's fine. Who is talking now?
Who is talking? It's on.
Is it Tony Juniper?
I'm not entirely sure. I know we're getting a welcome address from Sarah, and then I'm not sure what the next bit is. I think John might be up at some point.
Have you got any? I'm asking the wrong person, because you are wearing a bright pink and hoodie and a bright red hat, and you are the fashion statement of the conference. And I'm very glad, because I can easily spot you. So I'm like, they've got no friend. There's my friend. I can see you. That's easy. But have you noticed any nice fashion things that you've been like, I might nick that little
nice fashion?
I mean, there's a lady walking past us with a knitted Viking hat and beard. That's incredible.
Somebody had a big green felted top hat.
Yes,
I don't know if you've seen that one.
Amazing.
That's quite impressive.
With feathers on it.
Rachel's here, and she's wearing. Oh, I thought they had flowers on. They're flowery dungarees.
They're flowery dungarees. Can you tell they're made out of 1970s curtains?
Are they your 1970s curtains?
They're not. That would be even better.
Your childhood nostalgic curtains made into clothing would be so good. Yeah.
We were just. Gemma was just saying I'm easy to spot, which is.
Easier to spot if you were wearing those as well. That was my point.
Well,
I'll lend them to you tomorrow.
Okay, cool. It's a sea of green and brown.
It is.
It's a sea of.
But no, quite a few like handmade felt hats.
It's a good hat parade.
It is.
You could do a lot of like. I think individually they all might look quirky.
Yeah.
But when you get, it's that thing of everyone together, we're all just wearing bobbly hats.
Oh, there's some good trousers coming up. They also look like they're made out of pairs of curtains, but like a different pair for each leg. I'm loving those. They are very funky.
Strong trousers. I'm interested to see. Well, I think we're going to get a second round though when the rain hits. The rain is going to hit later, and then we'll get to see everybody's rainwear.
Yeah.
Which is like set part 2 of the fashion show. So what have you got on today?
I am doing John Cree and Marina Robb's workshop about, I'm probably hashing this up, but in a nutshell I take the description to be, how do you follow nature and your group? Which I thought, yes, I want to know that. I want to talk about that. So, being child-led, group-led, following your group's interest, but still following the seasons and, following nature.
Yeah.
And then this afternoon, I'm doing tree songs from the Children's Forest book. Yeah, how about you?
So this morning I'm doing... Oh, I'm going to butcher the word. I was going to call it sociocratic.
Yeah, that's
Is that
right.
the word?
Yeah.
Sociocratic.
With Mel Harrison.
With Mel, which I'm very interested in because we've dabbled in that democratic thing, and
after our chat with Artemis Bear from the garden.
And actually one of the children did ask us the other day, we did that typical thing, we try it once and we voted and we spent some money, and then one of the children the other day was like, why haven't we done that again? Well, oh yeah, okay, maybe we should. We didn't sort of do it enough times to iron out the kinks. So I'm hoping to kind of gain some more ideas and stuff there. And then this afternoon I'm with Lily Horseman, and it's, I can't remember the full title, but it's like recognising needs at Forest School, which, I mean, to me it's just another one of those behaviour is communication, but I've been thinking recently that like I much prefer it as a need doesn't sound optional, whereas lots of behaviour support things or stuff like that, they kind of give you the impression that it might be an optional thing. Like, they're not very happy being in a group. But if you reframe it as a need, as like they need some independence, it's then not optional. And you go, oh, okay, I can meet this, or they will be dysregulated, or they will, have that unmet. And then I'm quite looking forward to, because there's quiz tonight, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, and a barn dance.
A barn dance?
A barn dance, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been to a barn dance for many a year. I don't see no one.
I once went to, I don't think they listened to this, but I went to, when I was teaching, one of the teachers was having their 50th or 60th, and they were having a barn dance, and I was like, oh, I'm not really into that. I'll go and I'll try and blend into the background. And it was a big village hall, and there were about 6 of us.
Oh, no.
And they'd hired a professional barn dance leader. Someone that stands at the front. Caller, that's what they're, so there was no escaping it, and they were doing that thing of going you there at the back with the red, can you come come on, we need another. It was not the most free choice thing, and not the most socially comfortable thing I've ever done.
Did you have a great time? By the end, were the endorphins flowing, and were you smiling all over your big face?
No, because I think...
Okay, so this was the first of the keynote speeches on the Saturday morning.
It was, and it was Joe McAndrews speaking about eco-anxiety and the role of forest school practitioners in sort of helping children with that, as well as lots of information on climate change. She was really inspiring, and I've just seen that she's running some workshops. The first one is on the 1st of November in the evening. And if you're interested in it, so they're called Children and Eco-Anxiety, these workshops. And you can find out more information at joemcandrews.com. It's McAndrews, MC Andrews. She spoke. It was really, for me, the thing that really hit home about her speech was that she said that she spent a long time looking at the FSA website, and she couldn't find any mention of climate change on the website. And so she was kind of talking about our role as an association, as a group of people, and it was a bit of a call to arms, wasn't it, in terms of getting more involved and getting more political, really.
Yeah, it was definitely. And the kind of the clip that we've got is right at the end of her speech, and was very much a call to arms and a, get up out your chairs and let's go do something kind of vibe. So let's give it a listen.
We can get together and reinvent this. We can bring our values and our knowledge, and this is our time. This is our time. We are needed. Okay, so how can we step up? Children's Forest are going to talk to you next, and they've got so many answers. They're doing it. You're all doing it. We're all doing it. But how do we spread that even further? And how do we support each other in that? Because this can be so bleak and so scary. It's hard to face. So how can we all be part of the story of change in all aspects of your work? I just want to say 4 quick areas. And I'm going to talk more about stuff. Please come and talk to me. I'm here all weekend, and I'm doing some workshops. And this is just the beginning of the conversation. But in vision and strategy, in your values, your vision, I would love you to be asking. Okay, if we think about the climate ecological emergency, how does what we're doing address that? How are we contributing to climate resilience? And my suggestion, I'll get to it actually. I'll come back to that. Curriculum. What are we teaching? Is there something we can add? Can we name clearly to the people around us? These are the skills that you're already sharing. These are the skills that children are going to need in the future. Relational education. This is the bit that I'm most passionate about, and is most a blind spot in our society. Schools are dangerous places, in my view, because mainly they use punishment and reward to make children do what they want. They are pressurised by the government to make it very difficult. Everybody there is under stress. This isn't a criticism of teachers, it's a criticism of the system. It's totally focused on targets, it's not child-centred, and it's not equipping, it's breaking spirits, it's not equipping children for the future. And what we know, I'm a bit of a nerd about neuroscience, and the whole of neuroscience I've ever studied comes down to something very simple, is that we need warm, kind relationships with each other. That's the heart of all of it. And when we get that when we're very young, when we're part of warm, unstressed families surrounded by warm, calm, loving communities, then we've got everything we need. And we're not living in a culture where many children have that. So how can we contribute? So warm, friendly relationships build children's resilience for the future. So being able to use wood and know about water and identify trees and herbs that are medicinal is all vital. But the power of relationship to equip a child throughout their whole life to have resilience is miraculous and amazing, and we need to be shouting out about that a bit more. Punishing, threats, shame, humiliation, control, that all destroys resilience. Enough. We need that out of here. And action. We know that taking part in action, doing something in the face of climate change protects mental health, if we're supported in community and relationships. So how does the FSA, how does your organisation explicitly address this is what we're doing towards climate change? What's the one thing that is within your reach to affect system change? Because it's no longer about individual lifestyle change. Switching the lights off is great, but it's just not enough. Knowing how to build bug hotels is fantastic, and recycling our plastic is brilliant, and using less of it, yes. But actually what we need is to all be involved somehow in system change. Well, you're right in there. Well, you've got a foot in the system, but you've got each other that's that radical place outside the system. Come and help step into it. Talk about that. Talk about climate resilience and put relationship at the heart of it. Because you're so good at it. I can see it so often because we're stronger together. And just a reminder that we can't do this alone. We can't do any of it alone. We so need each other. We've been so lonely in the last while, or overworked, overstretched, and now we're getting back together. And let's rise up. Okay, thank you.
Chris.
Hi.
Chris.
Hello, everyone.
Chris Holland.
Yes, Chris Holland. Yeah, people get the pun on the name. Some people do, anyway.
It took me a minute.
Yeah.
I thought I'd misspelt it for a while.
Yeah. I think I'm never really sure whether it works. Like whole body learning about the land. It's such a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah. Holistic learning about the land. Yeah, kind of. That's what it's about.
It works.
It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. We've been on your storytelling. We did the storytelling course with you.
Yeah.
And that feels like a long time ago now.
That was 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you also do musicianship ones.
Yes, natural musicians ones. Yeah.
And so, what are you doing? Storytelling workshops here?
Yeah, storytelling, natural musicians, and a forage. Sort of walk and talk about plants, and purposeful plants is what I called it. Yeah, because there's just so much to learn about plants, and I kind of forget how many people are just like not aware of the simple qualities of different plants and materials, and that's such a toolkit for forest school leaders, isn't it? It's like knowing your resources well.
Yeah.
And I guess people. I don't want to sound like big-headed, but it's just when you get old and grey, you've kind of done a few things, haven't you? So it's good to sort of pass them on.
You were just, this is going to sound really dry. You were reading a report to me in the car on the way here.
How exciting.
And it was, I'm going to butcher the thing because we haven't got it, but it was like, there are 900 species which have some edible
more than that.
part.
It was like 800,000.
Which have which have some edible plant.
And most of the world's plant diet is made up of 20
different
species.
plants.
Yeah, amazing.
Insane. Just insane. So it's sort of talking about how, if we're going to carry on feeding ourselves, we're going to have to use more, a much wider variety of edible plants. And it might be that there's edible plants where there's just one bit of it that's edible, but nobody eats it. And, and that's how you're going to save humankind and the
We've gone
planet.
for like absolute laziness of like, what's that potato? Can you eat it? Oh yeah, fine.
Or just grains,
just stick it in.
Monoculture, grain. Anyway.
Yeah, we've got to adapt, haven't we?
Yeah.
And be more biodiverse in our choices of food.
We have just, it's, October 2021, and yesterday the government signed a bill on genetically engineered food can now be sold in UK supermarkets, which is different to I was looking it up. So it's different to genetically modified.
Yeah. So what's the difference?
So it either means some they're engineering to make them need less water or to grow bigger, take less, or put nutrients back into the soil. But there are also strands that are being engineered to be what's called Roundup ready, so they absorb pesticides more easily, or so that they like the chemical shit we're already doing, they like respond better to that. So there's two ways of looking at this apparently.
Lovely.
Could be great, could be...
It's like the internet, isn't it? Light and the dark side, I think, of genetic modification or engineering.
Yeah.
Because I think we can't exist without adapting the plants that we've got already, and humans have been doing that for thousands of years anyway. But I guess it's how we do that, and morally what's right and wrong.
There is a feeling though that you get, and I'm sure it's one of those like ancestral feelings when you walk past a hedgerow and have a little nibble.
Yeah.
My son calls them like snacks on the go.
Yeah.
So if he sees that, and like a lot of children are in awe of that. You can eat this, and it grows on and you can just, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
I love the names that children give them too as well. Different plants. Have you got any?
I'll tell you what I did. So I was walking with someone. Sorry, I've just seen there's loads of galls on the bottom of this oak that we're sat under. We're sat under an oak, and all of the leaves are covered in galls.
What are they?
Silk button galls.
Silk button ones. The one that looks like Cheerios.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them, aren't there?
My son is obsessed with. So he's learned that earth ball mushrooms are not poisonous, and that he can pick them up. And
they are poisonous.
Well,
you can't eat them.
You can make them into a very mild tea.
No, not earth balls. No.
Okay, we might have to debate this. I've never done it. No. Anyway, he likes kicking them up and picking them, and someone else saw them and they said, "Why has he got that?" They said, "He's got an earth ball." And then we came up and you said to the group, "What have you been doing?" And one of the boys went, "We found world mushrooms." I said, "Well, it's better than earth ball.
Yeah.
Let's go for world mushrooms."
That's pretty cool.
What about you? You must have something.
Yeah, well, my kids always used to call pennyworts munchies. So that was their one. And then this weekend I was doing a kids' party, and the girl whose party it was for, she likes Himalayan balsam seeds, and she calls those Poppingtons. So cute.
I love it.
Isn't Himalayan balsam the one that we're not supposed to pop?
Well,
yeah.
Isn't that the one that's like...
It's gone past that stage though, hasn't it? If one kid pops it, it's not going to make any difference.
Oh, okay.
I hate the smell of Himalayan balsam.
Do you?
Oh, yeah, I can smell
quite
it now.
like it.
Just imagine it.
What's it smell
It's very
like?
It's a
sickly.
bit cloying and sickly, yeah. But how to describe smells, that's quite a different one.
That's one of the things, isn't it, about foraging books and resources and things is like going to do a foraging course face to face. You can engage all of your senses, and also all the other ones like your memories and your. When you try and read it, it's a bit like trying to read bird calls, and you read it and it goes cuckoo paloo. I don't know. I have no idea what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Similarly, it's like they describe it as like it's a leafy green with slightly pointy, rounded edges.
Oh, the best one is if you're reading a book about mushrooms and it describes the smell, and there's a technical term for it. Smells of sperm. There is, and I've forgotten what the word is. It's like
the technical
smells spermy, but in a more scientific way. And you're like, oh yeah, God, it really does.
Sperm of what?
Sperm of some young guy.
Yeah.
But I'm very suggestible about those things. So you like smell a chanterelle, and does it smell of apricots? Oh yeah, it definitely does. Definitely, I can definitely smell the apricots there. Actually, can you, or is it just that you've read that it should and therefore it does?
Yeah. It's like pineapple weed.
Yes.
When what does that smell of? Oh. Pineapple, but yeah. At least you get that one easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing like foraging for not just edibles, but for other uses.
Yeah, just sort of the use of plants, really. Yeah, I'll try and share what I know. Hopefully it'll be more than the people that, or at least some. I'll have some useful things to share. Yeah, which would be good.
I tried to sort of suggest that to some trainee teachers that were quite scared of, because you know that fear of foraging that lots of people have.
Yeah.
And I tried to kind of say, well, the first toe in the water might not be eating it. It might be painting with it or smushing it up into something or wearing it inside, That's the first step, because eating can seem like quite a big, just
big step.
Putting it in my body.
It in your mouth, yeah. Yeah, but that's what where we have to start, is in the playgrounds and things. As so many teachers are, but it's a plant, don't touch it. No. Yeah, it's so useful to know. Like, we're just sitting here, like this looks like it's probably self-heal or something like that in the lawn, and just kids can, if they knew, they could. Well, it's like a friend. So you can look around and see all these different friends in the grass if they know what they're useful for, and we're not even just about their uses, is it? That's for such a sort of human way of looking at it. It's like, well, how is it useful to me? But no, how is it useful to nature, and what life does it support? And it's that kind of stuff that I'm still learning now. I'd love to know more and more and more, but developing the curiosity.
Foraging, do you? No. You just keep going. You keep going. You keep going.
There's been lots of caterpillars out recently, and you've seen that or seen them, but I just don't know all the names. I wish I did.
Yeah. We had one in our garden that was, one of these. I'm holding it up. People won't be able to see. Like a what's that? I was going to say
3 inches.
What's that? 3 inches? Yeah. We'll agree that that's 3 inches, shall we, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 3 inches, and it must have been as thick as my finger.
Was it furry or not?
Don't remember.
Probably.
But
not.
I think it was a hawk.
Yeah,
moth.
elephant hawk moth. I was going to say.
Because we had the elephant and hawk moth in our garden the year before.
Yeah.
And that thing is like,
it's
the size of a dinner plate. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not. But it's big, and particularly for my children, they were really, for a while afterwards, they were like, moths are cool.
Yeah.
Moths are
we had one hatch out in front of us. The little cocoon was wriggling around. It was moving, and it was just in our garden. And
where did you find it?
It was just in our garden. It was like just is it a pupa? Is that the name for it when it's in its cocoon?
Chrysalis?
I don't know.
The thing. Anyway, the thing's usually just like still and rigid and big. It was like moving. Like, what? And then it just like hatched out.
How long did it take?
In our very eyes. Not that long, maybe 15 minutes. But then the wings aren't big until the next day, because they actually have to fill with blood.
Yeah.
So we looked in on it next day, and it was they eat honeysuckle. That's what they feed on. But the caterpillars live on willow herb, don't they? Rosemary willow herb. And so I couldn't then weed any of that out of the garden. So I was like, caterpillars! It's the thing. Find out something, you're like, well, no.
Yeah, got to leave that plant there and leave that plant there. And
exactly. Yeah.
So what we're trying to do where I live at the moment is do sort of more rewilding stuff in the garden and kind of, before all the weeding. Sort of, if we don't know what it does, try and find out more about it. And it seems like plants seem to like particular areas in the garden, and they kind of make themselves homes there, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's right before pulling stuff up, kind of find out what it is and why it's there, and then.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that still have that kind of like, it's like a Victorian gene that still lives in us, that's still quite like, neat lines, and this will be ordered, and the garden shall be arranged in such a way, and like, but I think the more I've done about, researching plants, why they grow in place, not just like what is it, but like why does it grow there and why does that do that, and you see it's not that like Victorian order, it's a different order. So it still looks ordered to me. Like, rewilded stuff, I still go, right, yeah, because there's mid-level stuff, and then underneath it there's some forage or some something that's providing fertilizer, and then under that there's some ground layer, and that's doing, so it's like reteaching yourself different systems, like a different lens, I guess. Which I think is, we were talking about it in terms of countryside, weren't we? People have an attachment to seeing rolling hills with square hedges,
and cows.
And cows.
You're going to have to get over that, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Well, just that will change, won't it?
It will.
The more we rewild places, and for a lot of people, there might be an adjustment where it looks messy.
Yeah.
And that's quite difficult. But what I have found, and this is a tip for anybody that works in school, stick a sign next to it.
It says wildflower area.
Stick a sign next to anything. Or you just, what's that? It's a pile of like junk. And then you put a sign next to it and it goes like free resources. And people go like, oh, lovely. Yes, we've got a free resources area.
Can you do that though in your front garden if you live next door to some very fastidious gardeners and you don't mow, and they go, I'll just mow your lawn for you, shall I? Because I don't like the way it looks and it's next to mine and all those weeds are going to go into my garden. Like, can you put a sign in your own garden going,
fuck off?
Wildlife area.
It does rewilding. Can you sort of have it sort of flicker so it says, fuck off, leave it in my garden alone, or rewilding experiment or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's part of it.
Interesting. So, how's your cooking stuff going?
Good. Ebbs and flows. I think we arrived when we did the first cooking book. We had quite a lot of it. Was like that took about. It was a first album.
Yeah.
And then everybody expects the second album.
Yeah. Yes.
You go. Actually, the first one took like 4 years to get to. So I think we're slowly building up
to another one.
We realised that somewhere. We have to change what we're doing a bit because someone turned up, this was like a year ago, or 2 years ago now, someone turned up to a toddler group a bit late, and they were going, what are we doing? We're frying it, are we? Oh, yeah.
Another thing we're
frying. And we kind of went, there is a pattern, isn't there? They really like frying stuff.
It's really bad.
We're trying to use, I think...
But it's so delicious.
Yeah. It's crunchy.
Yeah, and also I think there's a thing of, you want a campfire cook in the summer, and you want to like bread oven cook in the winter. That's when you get into like...
Yeah, and crumbles and things like that.
And that stuff that's a bit...
Stews.
Yeah. The stews, hit and miss. I don't like a stew.
Don't you?
And soups
dumplings.
are good.
I can't do mixed textures. Things that I like...
It's quite funny that you're interested in food in a way, because sometimes you're like, no, but only this kind.
That's why I'm interested in it.
The kind you like, you really like, and if it's not that kind, it's no.
Yeah.
But we've had like quite a lot of groups who, well, not our main biggest group at the moment, haven't been into cooking for a few months or a few weeks maybe.
They will when it gets colder.
They did yesterday for the first time, but we kept going like, if you'd say, let's think about next week, anyone want to, and the people go, I want to bake. Okay, cool. And then you bring the ingredients and be ready, and they're like, nah, I've got some really, really important playing to do.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we'll just do it. And so quite a few times we've just been cooking by ourselves. But yesterday, some people were up for it, and it was like, oh, okay. I was like, no, let's actually do the cooking. Like, don't talk about it. Don't mention it.
We hit on a weird reflection where we were like, the children that come to that group, they need to eat fairly regularly, right? Every sort of 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so say they arrive and we're now doing breakfast, toast on the fire. So then after that, no one wants to cook when they've just eaten because your brain can't do it. And then They go off and they play. By the time they start to get hungry, it's actually so close to the next meal time that there's not time for them to then cook. So then they go, well, actually, I haven't got the mental energy to cook right now. I just need to eat some food. You go, okay, have some food. Then they've just eaten. So then they don't want to cook. So then, and we're trying to go, well, there's these 2-hour sort of blocks in the day. And then you've just got to plough through and go, I am cooking this.
Yeah, I suppose so.
If you join,
I think that's the thing. I think the more, because we have a few new children as well, and it's like once they see the result of it and taste it and go, oh, actually, that is quite nice. I could do that next time. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that carrot cake batter recipe thing looked quite good. You just chuck it into hot oil, do you?
Yeah, so that was on the Wild Cooking
That's
and
what the next
Eating and
book's
Sharing Facebook group.
The next book is called Chuck It in Hot Oil.
And shove it in your gob. Yeah, that was on Nick Elby's Facebook group that somebody shared, and it was like a Nadia Hussein recipe, but simplified it and didn't put any eggs and stuff like that, just put oat milk in it and didn't bother with the batter. And it's basically pakoras. It's like a sweet pakora with loads of carrot, and that's really fun and accessible. It was really easy.
It was more exciting than a cake, because a cake's a bit like it goes away and then you open it and it has or hasn't worked. But this was kind of like, whoa, and there's floating and there. You know.
There were a couple of very confused new people. They're like, okay, we're making cake. Yeah, I get it. And they were like, yeah, but where's the thing? And I was like, what do you mean? Like the thing to like bake the cake, like cook the cake in and the oven? And it's like, no, it's gonna go this way. They're like, what? Okay, but no, it's tasty.
Where I work in Somerset, we've got a new lady's joined us. She's called Yoon Mi, and she's got South Korean parents, and so she's come with another sort of way of looking at food. So we grow some vegetables there, and she's been doing vegetable pancakes. So I kind of do vegetable pancakes where I'll grate stuff up and put it in the batter, or pancakes. I mean, like omelette-y pancakes sort of things. But what she does is cuts the vegetables really, really thin sliced, and then mixes that in the batter with a little bit of, so it's quite eggy, a bit of wheat flour, but also with rice powder or potato starch is the other thing that she put in there, and it just gives it an extra crunch.
I can imagine that.
With little bits of chilli put in there too, and it's been delicious. That's my latest favourite kind of good veg. It's quick. You can mix up the mixture in advance, or you can get one to help out. But when you want to cook it, you don't have to wait long. It just goes in.
That sounds amazing, and reminds me of a Vietnamese pancake, which sounds very similar, which I'd forgotten about until you mentioned it, and now I'm like reliving that memory. Oh my, I want to eat that
Have you been
now.
to Vietnam?
No, but I used to live in East London, and there used to be a whole street of Vietnamese restaurants and a Vietnamese cultural centre, and you could just walk out of your house and just go, oh, I think we're going to have that food, and it would be like £3.50 for the most incredible Vietnamese pancake with coriander and chilli sauce and oh my god, I missed that. That was good.
You're gone now.
I'm gone. I'm just really food memory.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for chatting to us.
That's a pleasure. Very nice.
Before you go, are you doing any? Are you just like running your things, or have you got time to go to other stuff as well?
This is a source of my own stupidity and disappointment. Yes, I sort of thought, and stinginess, I think, or whatever it is. I thought, I can do 3 workshops, and I don't have to pay to be at the conference. I'll offer 3 workshops. That's fine. But I didn't realise there are only 3 workshop slots, so I can't go to anything. So I am a bit disappointed.
Well, you can listen to this, because we're going to go and annoy everybody.
Excellent.
And grab a flavour of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to some of the speakers and. But mostly sort of meeting people and having a good chat.
Encourage some stories around the campfire later.
Maybe,
You don't have to do them. I don't want you to do extra work after your workshop. But if we can encourage them, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
I think we should do that.
Yeah, and I do need to put a shout out for my tarp as well, because I'm putting. I've got my tarp up in my area here for people to see this time, so that's good. That was a nice thing to set up. So not doing just workshops, sort of being tarpaulin seller.
So you've brought some, have you, with you
I
to
brought
sell?
One with me. Oh yeah, I've got one to sell actually. Yeah, I've got one here that's in this
You can do
package.
like fruit and veg. Have you got £1 a tarp? £2 a tarp?
Roll up.
Yeah.
But really looking forward to hanging out. And I don't know if you bought anything to celebrate being here this time, but I brought an umbrella. Can't believe it. I've never bought an umbrella before. Yeah. But tomorrow afternoon looks quite wet, doesn't it?
Does.
Yeah.
It's torrential.
So how are you going to keep your recording stuff dry?
Poncho. I'm just going to appear from the side of a poncho. It'll be like my 2 little, like a Dalek maybe.
Yeah.
One out of here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I recorded? I'm not going to put this in at all. I was playing with this the other day, and I had the sensitivity turned right up, and I had it on headphones, like noise-cancelling headphones, and it sounded like Foley work of someone walking on fresh snow. You know, like,
Yeah.
and I was going, what is going on? I was looking around me, and I could still hear the noise going.
Yeah.
What was it? It was my beard. The microphone was in my beard, going. Just run around. Oh. Anyway, right, we've interrupted. I think we interrupted your food. Right, so Tony Juniper up next. Tony Juniper is speaking in this context. He is speaking only personally, not as so he is head of Natural England, but this is not him speaking from that position. This is just his own personal position. And he does a lot of, I guess, a type of climate activism. And his particular strategy is going and talking, I guess, to the people who are in power or who have power, and making the environmental situation important to them. He did talk at one point about, in his speech, which was, about an hour long. And we do have the whole thing. If anybody wants to hear it, do let us know. So we have the whole thing recorded. He talked about this idea that people have been using I think he called it the sentimental argument of, the environment's lovely, we should look after it, since the 70s. And he said, it's just not it's not working. Now's the time to change. And a lot of his speech was talking about how he makes the environmental benefits clearer to people in power, or how he makes the financial benefits clearer. So as I say, it was quite a long speech, and what we've decided to do is to cut out some of the more poignant questions that he answered in a Q&A at the end. So here we are.
Top tips on speaking truth to power to make action work. So a lot of what we've done over the years, like with the Friends of the Earth and Lot and Elsewhere and other roles I've had, is to take the science and to present that as the ultimate kind of proof of the need for change, and it's essential and it's vital. But speaking truth to power, I think, also depends upon there being a narrative that would invite people to want to act. And quite a lot of what we find coming through in the environmental discussion, it kind of finishes up being angry kind of exchanges by people who seem to disagree. And there's obviously a place for that, and it has been an important driver of raising awareness. But I think if we want people who've got the power to want to go in the direction that we think is beneficial, desirable, I think we also have to give them some sense of why they want to do it too. About framing, about how you present an argument, how you would like to, get people to see your side of it by anticipating their side of it. And actually, back in 2010, after that Harmony book with the Prince of Wales, I became very convinced of the need for an economic argument, which is, the Dasgupta review is the most recent manifestation of that. And that, for me, was necessary for the corporate leaders and politicians, not only right of centre, actually, left of centre politicians in many countries. They saw the same logic. You've got to liquidate the environment in order to improve the well-being of people. And actually, in non-capitalist countries, that was even worse than it has been here. Look what happened in the Soviet Union. And so that economic rationale, it's kind of, it's got multiple purposes in terms of how you can start to get people to see some of what I just described a moment ago. This is not nature or the economy. It's nature or there's no economy. And if you can land that in people who are, planning the future of a major corporation or a country, then I think you start to get further than telling them they're wrong, or the science is right, therefore you should do something. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. I think quite a lot of criticism for writing those kinds of theses about turning nature into an economic argument. People said, no, it's about the intrinsic value of nature. To which I said, well, I didn't say it wasn't. It's both. It's not either or. And we've had the intrinsic argument for more than a century of conservation action, but it's not been enough to cut through. So going to those people who are not us, this is the other thing to bear in mind. A lot of the people who are running finance industries and big corporations, they did go to Hinton Camp when they were 6, and they don't really know what we're talking about at that deeper kind of emotional level, but they can get the economic argument. But it's about horses for courses in some ways, isn't it? This is not to say we shouldn't bring all the 6-year-olds here, of course we must. But at the same time, you've got to be convincing the 66-year-olds who never came. Because they're still going to be there for another 10 or 15 years. Yeah, if that helps. So how do we give people hope when people feel powerless and stop them giving up and despairing? That's a really good question. Yeah, when you're very young, you can't make choices, yes. But this is becoming more of an issue as more and more young people now start to understand this, isn't it?
Choose to turn their lights off.
There's
little actions.
There's little actions being mentioned here, turning lights off and things like that. I think, it depends on where you're growing up. If your parents are supportive, and you've got a recycling thing, and you've got energy efficient lights, and you're kind of with a big garden, and you can go and pick a pond and these kinds of things. I think, that there are ways of empowering youngsters to feel as though at least they're engaged and doing the right thing, even if they can't do everything. But there is, a spectrum of circumstances out there with kids who, don't have that. They're not getting any support at home. Parents may think it's all rubbish, in which case that probably is a source of real despair, isn't it? Which probably means then that schools become quite critical, I would have thought, in being able to equip children with some sense of agency and how they can actually make a difference themselves. And I don't know how the curriculum goes at the moment. I mean, obviously you're all doing some of this in different ways, but in terms of the national curriculum and what kids are getting in mainstream schooling, whether they're getting, that kind of balance of messages. So here's the climate challenge, but also here's what you can do about it. I don't know if that's there, but I would say that probably that's quite an important bit of it.
It feels like something too small for them because they get all these messages at school, and then it's like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with really wanting to cry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, there we are. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, citizenship in its broader sense, I suppose, as they get a bit older and becoming activists, what Greta Thunberg has done. And she's been an inspiration for some of those kids, hasn't she? And giving them something to do, like direct action, school strikes and what have you.
We use the schools program in our school, like maybe the warriors, and they all felt they were involved in those small things, but they'll go on with that now.
I'm afraid I don't have an easy answer for you there. I mean, that's a huge question, and it's central to the whole thing. There was a conversation going on as we were walking across here about the importance of hope, which probably, is kind of in that same space as agency. But the two go together. Can they do something and therefore can they be hopeful? And that's right. I'm just thinking about my youth and some of the things I probably shouldn't share on a public platform. Like what I did when I was about 12 years old. Bear in mind, and actually we wrote about this in Harmony, the place we've arrived in now, the 2 centuries of urbanisation and that disconnection, it was preceded by a few centuries of the basic parameters of human understanding of the place in the world, of people changing. And, and to go back actually to the medieval period, there was a time when the theology of Christianity was very much about God being present in everything, in the trees, in the rivers, in the fields, very much like the indigenous societies of the Amazon still today. And permission kind of was created for the modern world we live in now by taking God out of nature and sitting him on a cloud, making him all powerful, him, not her, and then for us then to be seen as acting in a way which was kind of God's will, if you wish. And then that history of ideas brings us to where we are today. And so this is not small, this is not a press release in the sense of how we're going to change that momentum of history. It's a highly strategic thought that requires thinking through and then very broad coalitions being created to take us in a new direction. It's partly about narrative, as I said earlier. The predominant narrative we have in the West is an economic narrative. And, if we can get in there, maybe it's a start. I'd just say thank you for having me here. It's been absolutely wonderful to actually see some real people rather than a computer screen. And the rain has made it all more special, so thank you.
yourself.
Hi, I'm Mindy from Badgerwood Adventures in Cheltenham.
Oh, I'm going to point at more people now. Hello.
Hello, what are we doing?
Just having a chat, but I need to know who you are because I don't know who you are.
I'm Maria Sprostjanova from Greenbow Forest School Training and Greenwise People.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Matt. I run my own freelance forest school business, but I'm also one of the FSA directors.
Oh, look at that, smooth. He's done it before. What was dinner? I can't see anybody's plate.
It was a couscous / rice / curry type thing that wasn't spicy.
It was advertised as a tagine.
Isn't the rule the longer the description, the fancier it is? If it's called like hot pot, it's just hot pot. If it's called like spiced Moroccan hot pot with if you list the ingredients,
then it becomes fancy.
Matt, are you doing a quiz in a bit?
I am, yes. Very excited. I hope no one just leaves. I mean, it's in the dining hall where we are now, so I think hopefully we've got a captive audience. We're just going to zip down the 10 flaps and that's it.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing you try and control a crowd.
Oh, no different than the whole school of children, is it?
I don't know. A lot of these children are going to have like tools and blade
and beer.
And beer.
Makes it all the more fun.
It does. So have we done workshops? Did you both do 2 workshops today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well, what 2 did you do?
The morning one, I was with Mel Harrison. I did the Sociocratic Forest School. Really interesting.
It was good, wasn't it?
Really good, yeah, it was really good. Gives you a lot to think about.
So what workshop did you do this morning?
I've done 2 foraging. I did a foraging this morning with James and Lee, and that was amazing. And I did a foraging this afternoon with Gemma, and both of them were amazing in their different ways and really fantastic. So,
have you got anything you could give us as a thing that you foraged?
Oh,
I don't mean physically. I don't want a bag of it.
Well, that's good because we've eaten everything that we've foraged. I'm still feeling okay at the moment. We found Gemma found a beefsteak fungus on the back of an oak tree. It was a bit far gone, so we couldn't taste it, but at least we know what it looks like, and it's fairly interesting to learn about. I've never seen one in the flesh, as it were, before. So,
would you feel confident now with a group? Would you know Because I feel like there's one level of confidence which is I can forage for stuff that I would eat, and then there's another level that's I would forage for stuff that I would give to a child to eat, and the level of confidence is astronomically higher.
Yeah, I think probably I would still avoid most of the fungi unless I knew exactly what it was, and also because you don't know what they're going to react to, and you don't know how their digestive systems are going to cope with stuff.
Said like a man with a reputation to preserve.
Well, yes, absolutely. We did stop picking hawthorn berries when they were very close to a yew tree, so that's quite...
Ooh, that's a close one.
Risk assessment, definitely. Let's not pick those ones.
You've got to refer to them as haws, though, surely?
Yes.
When the opportunity arises to refer to something as haws...
But that goes over the head of a 4-year-old, so... Maybe not with a teacher, it's been a parent helper, but...
Back home and just keep repeating the fact that, that what they've learned today, and then, it might get lost in translation when they get home.
Yeah, that's true. What did you do with Matt at Forest School today? We found a lot of haws.
Yes, and picked lords and ladies as well, and pretended to use them as salad leaves.
Who was it? Somebody told me once about a story where their children they'd gone and found forest peas, and it was Was it you?
It was me.
There we go. So,
go on. They found an unripe arum lily with green, lovely peas growing on it, and they started shucking them, taking all the little seeds out of the middle until they got an itchy rash over their fingers, and then they realised that they'd probably done something a little bit wrong. So yeah, that was fine. shoved a bit of longleaf plantain on it, a bit of antihistamine, it was fine.
Ooh, how fast was your heart going at that point?
Fairly fast, and it was the only time I've ever taken Facebook out in front of a class, because it's a poisons identifying group, and I wasn't entirely sure because all the rest of the arum lilies were flowering red and they had their red fruits on them. This was green, so they're absolutely brilliant to be able to rely on someone like that. But when parent helpers see you scrolling through Facebook with a group of 30 children, it does give the wrong impression until you tell them the context which you're using it for.
Yeah, guys, just doing a status update actually. So we've both done the same. We've had the same day. Yes, that is in my plan. So we did Lily's I was just going to call it needs.
Was it needs 2 or something? I'm not really sure.
Oh, I can't really remember.
I think it was Lily running the workshop, to be honest.
You see Lily, you sign up.
Telling her, really. That's the only reason.
It was good. It was very big, very fast.
It was, wasn't it? It was intense.
Yeah, it went from like, are you all alright? Do you need the loo? What are the unmet needs of the unconditional human psyche?
Okay, so we're about to hear from the Children's Forest. Well, from one of the people from the Children's Forest.
Yeah, so this is Anna Richardson. And she's part of the Children's Forest along with lots of other practitioners. And you might have read some of Anna Richardson's books. So The Children's Forest is a book that came out quite recently, which is a really lovely sort of all year round collection of stories and songs and crafts and celebrations and things. And she also co-wrote Learning with Nature, which was a book that really helped me out at the beginning of my practice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And she also led with a couple of her colleagues the tree songs workshop that I went to at the weekend as well. So after this explanation from her about the Children's Forest, you'll hear a couple of extracts of some of the songs that we learned about trees, which was just magic. It was so good.
And are these, am I right in saying they're songs that she and the group made up? They're new songs or they're old songs? What are they?
They're new. They sound really ancient. People I've played the songs to, especially the Holly song, they've said, wow, is that like a really old song? But no, they've all been co-written. Sometimes the lyrics have been written by Anna and then the tune has been written by a friend of hers, or some of the other songs were written by the members of the group. So yeah, they're all new.
Oh, great. Okay, well, let's listen to what the Children's Forest is all about and then stick around for some songs at the end.
It is a movement that has arisen directly in response to the challenge of our times and is to enable children and their communities to come together and plant healthy forests for the future. So we support forest school leaders and the children that they work with to plant children's forests in their areas and encourage those with access to land to host these projects and become guardians. And as you heard, the vision is for them, the children, to return over the years to come and tend the trees as they grow. And they're going to be supported by their families and communities to do that. So Children's Forest has emerged directly through forest school practice, and we've all experienced and seen the deep effect of and benefit of nature connection in the children that we work with, and how it really cultivates a proper and deep care for the natural world. And I've noticed, as I'm sure many of you have, that especially younger children are fascinated by the tiny life in the forest. And they'll find the most tiny insects and make little homes for them and leave food out for the fairies and create tiny little shelters and homes for animals in the roots of the trees. And they seem to have a deep-rooted instinct for our role in caretaking and protecting nature. So there's so much to be grateful for in the woods. The golden green light through the leaves and the smell of the earth. For our fires and the scent of the wood smoke, the sound of the birds singing in the canopy, the plants to give us medicine, and the berries and the nuts that feed us, streams to splash in, secret hiding places. When we really receive all these gifts from the forest and from the trees, it generates in us a desire to really ask the question of what can we do to give back? And we realise that the first thing we can do is to tend and protect the existing woodlands that we know and love. And that protecting existing woodlands is vital and equally as important as planting new ones. And our love for the trees and our care for their future, naturally will lead us into gathering the seeds of the trees, to plant them and tend them as they grow and protect them so that they can become young trees to be planted out in the children's forests. So the children's forests are to be protected sanctuaries for the children yet to come, and not only just the human children, but the children of the squirrels and the deer, the children of the oak and the birch, the children of the primrose and the moss. So can we really imagine what it would be like to consider 7 generations ahead in everything that we do? Imagine ancient forests that are thriving with life, that were planted long, long ago by us, the children that we know. So, as Joe was saying, we live in unprecedented times. It is the climate of change, and we have a responsibility now to consider the restoration both of our environment and our culture. The children need stories that are inspirational and positive, and we need to offer them hope so that they can move forward into a future that feels inspiring for them. So, as well as that, we need purposeful action in the face of climate change. We need action that will truly benefit and help restore our world, such as the planting of trees is one of those things that we can do. And engaging children in that activity, in that simple activity, offers hope, and it really importantly gives them a sense of agency and to experience themselves as change makers and caretakers who know how to tend the natural world. So it is time for us to put the children in the centre. Not only our own children, but the children of the trees and plants and animals. And we need to consider them all as our family. And we need to consider them all in all our visions, all our decisions, all our actions, because their futures are entwined with each other. So let us bring our hearts and minds together in support of them, and may there be a bright and healthy future for all the children. And I really want to thank all the children who've come here today for their huge courage to come and share their voices with us, and just to let you know that we care for you, support you, and we love this beautiful world, and we're here to listen to you.
Oh, holy tree, how green you grow, green in sun and green in snow. Oh, holy tree, how green you grow, green in sun and green in snow. How white honey scented flowers grow on summer's holy bower. Oh, holy tree, how green you grow, green in sun and green in snow. Oh, holy tree, how green you grow, green in sun and green in snow.
Feeling up Okay, so we'd like to walk into the chorus.
Okay. Oh, holy tree.
Oh, holy tree,
how green you grow, green in sun and green in snow.
Shining in the sun where the purple heather's growing. Yeah, so it really actually loves to, it usually grows like high up on the mountains, hence mountain ash. And it is a tree that really loves to be in the sky, in the light, you know, in that way. And often will be on that kind of ericaceous soil that you get like on heathlands and in Wales, and you've probably seen them mostly up in Wales and Cumbria and Scotland, like a slightly more kind of wild and aspy kind of soil, so where heather really likes it.
oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, shining in the sun where the purple heather's growing. Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, dancing with the dragons on the wild high hill.
High on the hill, the red berry rowan, roots among the rocks where the mountain streams are flowing. There you grow, the red berry rowan, dancing in the wind upon the wild high hill.
Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, shining in the sun where the purple heather's growing. Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, dancing with the dragons on the wild high hill.
From the northern lands on a starry night, hear the call of the red-winged flight. Sorry. Through the autumn dawn, through the misty mountain air, the gifts of the rowan tree are waiting there.
Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, shining in the sun where the purple heather's growing. Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, dancing with the dragons on the wild high hill.
No mischief goes where the bright rowan grows, for the rowan berry red will burn their toes. Not a harm will come thee near when the light of the rowan tree is growing here.
Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, shining in the sun where the purple heather's growing. Oh, the bright, the red berry rowan, stands on the wild high hill.
So, we thought for the last and the very last moment of our Song Forest workshop, we could actually get our boots on and go out there and sing to a tree.
So what you're about to hear is a couple of interviews that I ended up doing on my own while Gemma was off at a workshop. I started off with Sarah Lawful, and then as people walked past, we grabbed a few people. If you don't know, Sarah Lawful is amazing for knowing everybody and also knowing amazingly what their strengths are. So Sarah helped find some other people who were willing to talk to me. So let's have a listen.
It is good. It sounds a lot like, do you know John Taylor Gatto? It's American, so it's Gatto.
No.
Gatto. He's like one of the... He was New York's Teacher of the Year. This is some years ago now. And he basically did that. He's like a champion of unschooling. You know, that whole thing of like self-directed learning and curriculums are absolute crud. And his whole thing was, he basically got pulled up in the end because he was marking his students in, but he was setting them up with like, right, you're going to go and see what it looks like to work in the fire department this afternoon. Just one kid, and going, right, you've got to get the bus there. You've got to work out how to do it. Okay, you want to work out how to do this. Okay, you have got to go and, you know, you're going to go and work with this person's uncle, and like networking all these people. It's almost like returning back to like apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And just that thing, isn't it, of like,
But that's how you find out what jobs there are in the world, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and there's so much. I think there's such a stigma about trades and stuff that you know. There is definitely a lot of stuff in this country, at least, about class and jobs, and you know, some jobs aren't, you know, when it should be. Have you seen that? I can't remember what the picture is, and it's like what we judge a job on, and it's like 50% job title, 50% salary, and it's like what we should judge a job on, and it's like free time, mental space, joy of the job, you know, all these other bits that piece together. James is coming through with Baron. Hello, James.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Are you surviving the rain?
Well, yeah, this little man's doing pretty well. All round, we're doing good. We've been doing some woodland management. Once you're wet, aren't you? There's a point, there's no way, you're just wet and you just crack on, don't you?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be outdoor leaders, so we can't complain, can we? It's all going well.
What management have you been doing?
So we did a little sustainable woodland management session, so just looking at the woodlands up the way, beautiful ancient woodland here, looking at different ways you can manage it. So one group was professional foresters, one group nature therapists, one group doing forest school, and the other one purely for wildlife, and just looking at the different ways we could do it, different ways we could manage the wood. And then we did some like practical of actual cutting down the coppice, how does that work, safe tool use, that kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Good fun, as much as you can pack into 2 hours.
That sounds
yeah, so it's good fun.
So Baron's been coppicing.
Baron's been staying in the dry, actually. He's been alright, but he's providing moral support, which is always good. But he's thinking about food, I bet. Anyway, yeah, it's been a good afternoon so far. We're going to get dry.
Good, yeah. Okay, go for it. So we're on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
We're about, would you say, I reckon we're halfway through? We call this halfway through?
Yeah, halfway, I think.
Highlight so far? Actually, no, I'm going to ask you a different question.
Go on.
Which is, so, I have been watching you. And you have an incredible skill that I don't have, and I don't think that many other people have, which is, I've not yet seen you talk to a person, whether you know them or not, and within about a minute, you have already highlighted what's amazing about them, and told them it's amazing, and just like gone, whoop! How'd you do that? Because that's a skill, and doing it at a conference, you know, is amazing. And you know, everybody talks to you and then they're like, oh, I feel good.
Wow. I think encouragement is so important. You know, when I first started teaching, I was just stunned. You get all these children turn up and they think they're all rubbish at stuff, and they don't know how brilliant they are. And then if we call in what's brilliant about you, and just tell you, when I was dead young, I mean, I must have been 12, 13 max, and a teacher said to me, Sarah, you're never afraid to say sorry when you make a mistake, and thanked me for it. And that spoke into my life. It's okay to make a mistake, and you can say sorry, and you're good at it. There's something you're good at, and then if you're told you're good at something, it just makes you want to do it more. What we do in school is we tell children what they're all bad at. And that's why I love Forest School, because Forest School is, we're going to take all these people, we're going to help them all discover what they're brilliant at, and we're going to just get them doing tons of that. And then when you're in that place, you then have you're primed, you're ready, you've got all the soil and all the juicy goodness that's there to grow those things that are trickier. When you feel rubbish about yourself, you can't do anything, you can't learn, you can't build healthy relationships or any of that stuff. You start making people feel great. You know, you say, I see this in you and I value it. And we can do that. You can do that when you're at the bus stop with somebody. You can make the difference to somebody's day. And so encouragement, I think, and encouragement is about giving people courage. And that's what we do at Forest School brilliantly. And I think that's what these conferences do. I sat in a group with Joe McAndrew, and we were talking about eco-anxiety and how do we change that.
Oh, that's massive.
How do we do that stuff?
Yeah.
And one of the key things that she did, she went around and said to people, are you brave enough to say what you want from coming to this conference and for being in this session? And so many people were like, I want courage, I want to be brave, I want to be able to stand up, and I want to stand up for children and stand up for the planet, and have difficult conversations and be honest about my feelings and own my feelings and have difficult conversations. And there were times when the conversation was difficult. It was painful to talk about education, because we really care about children, we care about the teachers, we know people who sweat blood and tears to change the world, and yet we're in a system that is asking us to really look at creating an education system that is about behaviour and control and management. And we had one of the people there was saying the behaviour hubs are teaching, schools are going to have to use slant. It sounded like some Bond enemy.
I've seen
Have you heard about slant?
It's like an acronym. It's a stepped thing, isn't it? It's not steps.
To me, it seems iniquitous, and it is completely against everything we know and believe to be about effective, relational, empathic, compassionate, community building, and rich learning. It just, to me, the FSA member or person in the group says SLANT stands for, let me get this right, that children are going to sit, they're going to listen. No, they're leaning. They have to lean forward. So they sit, they lean, they ask questions, they nod, and they track the teacher with their eyes.
Holy fuck.
That's slant.
And so sorry, what's it? So they're saying that schools are going to have to start doing this?
This is the approach that is coming out of those beacon schools that schools are going to use for their behaviour model.
Well, I feel a tiny bit sick.
So how important is it that we're all here talking about, actually we want to give children hope? Is that going to give children hope?
I mean, it's not even going to give children success, is it? I mean, that's crazy.
It's mad,
It's absolutely crazy.
So how important it is that we're here and that we actually are doing something that meets the needs of children and young people and teachers. It's about, we're talking about emotional health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, intellectual health.
I think that's one of the things, isn't it? It's like, I was thinking about what it's hard to find a reason that somebody does Forest School that isn't altruistic. Because, not to blow our own trumpet, none of us are in this for the money. It's only me here that's in it for the ego, right? Everyone else here is relatively selfless. So any reason that you do Forest School is about helping some group, and it's almost like we just need all these different approaches because I can't meet all the needs of every group in every way, and it's like all these little pockets of like, oh, this person's being really altruistic towards this community, and this person's absolutely nailed this community, or this person's really working from inside this community, and like, yeah, there's not. There can't be a bad reason to start doing this, and meeting all these other things. I think for me, it's kind of a lot of people I've talked to. It's like realizing that I didn't know I wanted to be an advocate for some of these things until you meet someone who's like fully into that. You know, we all have our own little personal like, oh, I'm connected to this thing and I'm connected to this thing, and then you meet someone who's like really connected to something different bit. You go, oh yeah, I should bring a bit of that into it. It's like pulling in ingredients and just going like, oh, can I have a bit of that? Can I have a bit of that ingredient? It is amazing. It's a shame that well, actually, I was going to say it's a shame it's raining, but I actually think the rain is quite good because it's pushing people together, whereas normally you might be all spread out. So well done on planning it on a rainy weekend. That was a stroke.
Very clever, wasn't it? It was clever.
People doubted you. But it is that thing of you have to huddle, don't you? And then because you're next to people, you start talking to them.
Yeah.
Hey, could you
Tanya.
tell us about Tanya?
This is Tanya.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm going blue.
Why are you going blue?
Because we printed the logo, and it is now slightly running. Like me, I've been running everywhere.
Yes. Can I see? Is it on the back?
Yeah, but I'm not Tanya at the moment. I am somebody else.
Are you Gary?
You're Mark.
You're making the magic happen.
We're making the magic happen. Isn't it lovely?
So you've been in this. Is it screen printing? It's not screen printing.
It was a lino cut from an original design for this conference, which is beautiful, designed by Peter Nell. And then we've had this beautiful lino cut then made that can be rolled on and then printed onto anything. Wow. We printed it onto the signs that you see everywhere, that very helpfully.
Have you been involved in all of this?
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, amazing.
This morning and yesterday, I've been literally dancing as I've been walking along because I'm so excited and so happy that we're actually finally here. It's incredible.
Been a long time, a lot of work.
Well,
not that much work. That's what I've heard. Not that much work at all.
It's a very interesting thing because the work is almost like all of the thinking process before we get to this point. And yes, there's physical work, but that's what we do in forest school anyway.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on. We can't really class as work.
Yeah.
It's just being physical, and it's a funny thing. I've been standing today, and I've realised that I'm a physical creature that needs to kind of flop around and run around a bit and do things.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Which I was just saying, it's kind of funny. The rain has pushed everybody into these tents, which is making people talk to each other who might not know. You know, if it was lovely weather on this bit of green, everyone would be spaced out in like 2s, 3s.
Yes,
it would be in comfort zones. Something about forcing people under shelter is actually.
Yeah.
I said it was very clever of Sarah to have planned it on a rainy weekend.
Well, it wouldn't be right otherwise, would it? I mean, this is what we're about.
I would like it to stop. It is stopping tonight, though, isn't it? Because
yes, so I've heard.
I would like to, as much as the noise on tents is very calming to go to sleep.
Yes.
Long term, it makes me quite stressed when I'm in the tent and it's like a growing like, is it gonna go? Is it gonna go? Is it gonna go?
Absolutely. So I didn't camp because obviously I'm in Oxford.
Oh,
so I really wanted to. I have a tiny pop-up tent and it's a blackout tent and it's my absolute sanctuary when I go to festivals. I love it. I can make it as messy as I like in there. It is like a little womb-like pod. It's beautiful and I will sleep really well and it's warm. Now, I really wanted to camp, but I thought there are people coming from Sussex, Edinburgh, all over the country, and they needed the camping, you know. Never mind the lack of petrol. I mean, it's been incredible, hasn't it? These people have come from miles away and managed to end up doing
How do you reckon? Who's the furthest? Do you reckon? So I've talked to somebody from Northern Ireland.
Yes.
So that's the farthest I've heard. Have you heard further than Northern Ireland?
No, but I heard a wonderful story about the Irish fairies. Now, when we were listening to the
Was this Chris?
Children of the Forest.
Children's Forest.
Yes, Children's Forest, sorry. And, well, they're obviously of the forest as well. But
It's slightly confusing because, and this is where, so John Cree nearly gave me an aneurysm once because, so we are the Forest School podcast,
yes.
but our forest school is called Children of the Forest.
Yes.
And John spent a really long time in a meeting once telling me what Children of the Forest were going to be doing and that they were planting hundreds of trees and all this stuff, and I was going,
very confusing.
I'm not doing any of that, John.
No.
What's going on? So it was worth clarifying.
Yeah,
Children's Forest did a presentation this morning.
Well, yes, and it was beautiful. And within it, we were singing, and it was just glorious. It was glorious. And I learnt about the hawthorn and how the hawthorn, if it's a single tree, actually goes into the ground and is the connection to the fairies. Now we're all going, oh, that's so lovely, but actually the fairies in Ireland are cheeky things. They do really naughty things. They're naughty. They're not good fairies. They're cheeky fairies. And they will come along and move the farmer's tools, for instance. So just when the farmer needs to go and do the things that he's doing, off they go, the fairies. Oh, the fairies have done it. I can't do an accent. My friends from Northern Ireland.
That's okay. It's probably safer that you don't. For you.
I know, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But I can hear Lisa in my head now telling me about the fairies, and she knows that they're real because she lived there. So obviously,
wow.
I'm going to have to go back now and ask her about the hawthorn trees, the lone hawthorn trees, and whether that's where they were coming from.
Oh, amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Oh,
I know. So maybe the fairies are feeling a little bit damp too. Maybe they're standing under those trees thinking, when is it going to stop raining? Or maybe they're the ones that did the rain dance to start with, just for us.
Just for us.
Yes, just
well, that's
for
a
us.
positive way of looking at it.
Well, I try to. Sarah will tell you that I am often the positive person that will try really hard to find something. And it's a gift that I have, and I don't know where I get it from, but I will always try to find something, or it just happens to land on me in my head. There it is, something
Amazing.
lovely.
Just so I can get it right. What's your full name, and do you have somewhere that you work?
I do. My name is Tanya Wetton, and I work at Sandhills Community Primary School, and I'm Forest School lead there.
Amazing. Thank you
very much. Thank you.
It's great.
Lauren would love to talk.
Hello, Lauren.
Lauren.
You look really unsure about
Lauren
it. This is what Sarah does.
Lauren's
People and goes, this person wants to do.
Lauren works in Hackney, is doing amazing work, and she ran a fabulous workshop in Surrey around diversity and inclusion, and is doing incredible work. And I said, you're kind of heading up the EDI working group.
Yeah.
And Lauren, and we need her. She knows we need her. She knows we do.
No more than that
and
needed.
Lauren and Richard and Marnie at the garden classroom want to chat with us. But there's Lauren. I stole
Amazing.
her.
Have you got to?
Yeah,
minute?
of course.
Should
Yeah,
you want to just?
See you later.
Okay. We'll stand next to. There's a dead fox in here. Have you seen it? There's a taxidermied.
Oh, but it's taxidermy.
After.
I'm getting excited. I thought it was just.
Well, I mean, it is dead. It's then been taxidermied.
No, but I thought it was like decomposing or something inside.
When I was at school, when I first arrived at my secondary school, the biology lab was covered in taxidermy and like shit in bottles and like two-headed sheep and like all of this crap. And then they got rid of it in the second year I was there, and they made it just a normal classroom. And they were like, oh, that's much more focused. And I was like, I don't care now. Don't care about any of this.
Yeah, we had a dead fox in the forest a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of showed the kids and went back, and then it just had all these maggots, and they were loving it, looking at it. And yeah, now it's just bones.
So did you do anything to it? You just looked at it and
we just
then it
kept
happened?
going back, and then the idea was to, collect the bones, sort of just clean them up a bit, and then they're there for the children to observe and just like, talk about and learn, which we've done with sort of other things that we found in the forest. But yeah.
Have you seen those? Do you know Jake's Bones? Do you know that? So he's like a home ed kid. This was like years ago now, and he made his own website about bones and like decomposing stuff and like how to like preserve it, like what happens if you put it in bleach, what happens if you burn it, what happens if you did this. And he said the best one was like he had metal like chainmail bags, like a chink chink chink. So he put the animal in chainmail and bury it.
So all the microbes and stuff could still get to it and eat it and clean it, but then you dig, so it doesn't get lost. Then you dig the metal bag back up, and it's just a metal bag full of clean bones.
No, that is amazing. Yeah.
That's clever, isn't it?
Yeah, that is really clever.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
So sorry, I've distracted you. So you did a project in Hackney?
Yeah, so it's not a project no more. It started off as a project, a part of a children's centre that I work at in Hackney. It was something that was developed by my manager, and it got funding for the first 2 years. So it's quite diverse in terms of what it provides. So it was forest school summer play scheme or half-term play schemes. We had after school clubs as well, twice a week. So you take the children out, and including in the dark as well. So we used to do the twilight sessions and stuff.
Did you do like torch tag and stuff?
Yeah, we've done the whole thing, like the ghost stories around fire and hand, shadow, puppet stories. We got the kids.
Cool.
Yeah, we used to just put a white tarp up in between two trees, and then would line torches just behind it, and then the children would get into groups and just tell stories. Yeah.
So how old are kids are we talking about?
So Hackney Forest School ranged from the age of 1 to 11. So we had like drop-in sessions where the families would come in with their children and just spend time doing forest school sessions. It was the whole point, so that parents are starting to understand more about what forest school is. That was for 1 to 5 year olds. Then we have school sessions, booking 6-block sessions with me. Some of them do it for a whole year as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very broad. And for some schools who are interested in forest school, we'd do like inset days, so we'd just do a small twilight presentation on what forest school is and what we do. So thank you. I was in there waiting for you.
Stuart has appeared with a cup. Hello, Stuart.
Nice.
How you doing?
All right.
Get me a tea mug, thank you.
So I'll have it back when you're done.
Yes.
Or tomorrow.
Yes, thanks, Stuart. So it started as a project, and the idea was to try and sustain it so that it can run off its own costs.
Yeah.
So it's not free. It is a charged cost. And then recently we opened up Maple Kindergarten, which is a 4-day outdoor nursery for preschoolers.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so they get dropped off in the forest, they get picked up from the forest.
Oh, incredible. How are you finding that?
We love it.
Are you delivering that?
Yeah,
Kind of set it up?
so me and 2 of my colleagues, we run it.
Are these colleagues? Can we talk to more colleagues?
Yeah, this is Genevieve. Have you eaten? Yes. No, I haven't eaten. Yeah. Yeah. So through the nursery, it's part of the nursery. It's just an outdoor class, so we've got no indoor. Obviously, if the weather gets really bad, we'll go back to the centre and we'll find somewhere. But we do use public space, which is Hackney Marshes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I've not been, but tell me about Hackney Marshes.
So Hackney Marshes is one of the largest green spaces in London. It's got a large marsh area in the centre. It's got football pitches on it, so there's lots of children and young people doing football session. And then the surrounding area, you have miniature forest woodland areas that have been planted up quite a few years back. So it was a dumping ground. There's quite a lot of history to it. And then we do it in there, so we pack all our trolleys, we take it over the bridge because we're right next to the canal.
You pack in, pack out then?
Yeah.
For a full nursery?
Yeah.
Woo!
Tell me about it.
Credit.
Yeah.
Credit where it's due.
Yeah, honestly. So we have to put up shelters, take them down, everything goes back. Otherwise it gets stolen, it will not be there when we get back. Yeah. Yeah. We litter pick because it's public, so we're constantly picking up litter, dog poo, human poo. Yeah.
You name it, it's in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do a lot.
Wow.
And to support the council as well.
Do you involve anyone else in that? Do the parents help with that stuff, or you kind of go, we'll deal with this?
No, I think we just deal with it, but we do know that some parents they've got their own forest school outdoor sessions that they do. So there's a network of people that do similar stuff to what we do that are also doing the same thing by supporting the council and picking up the rubbish and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you said it's been going 2 years, or it was funded for 2 years?
So it was funded in 2017 for 2 years, but it's been able to sustain on the costs of children coming in through all these different services, which has been able to carry on employing me and the team to carry on running the services. So yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And so what's the next? Is there a next bit? Is it like it's just ticking over?
It's hard, and we're really sort of on high demand. I think there needs to be more. There's like lots of other like forestry things going on. There's lots of other sort of forest school nurseries going on. It's still not enough in London, but the problem is the space.
Oh, really?
The green space that we have. You go outside of London and it's a lot more rural, so you've got the opportunity to do it. And obviously we don't really have like camping sites like this where that you can rent out the space or be a part of it or be in partnership, so that it's quite difficult. So some people are using other green spaces that might be a part of like a cemetery, and there's a small like greenery section in the cemetery. So that's what people are doing in London. Just to get their forest school sessions.
I don't think there's a big shift there.
It's absolutely fine. It's just the children don't have much opportunity as what other children would have outside of London in terms of the biodiversity and seeing things and the wildlife.
And I think lots of people can get hung up on that, can't they? Like lots of people. I was talking to a student of mine who's going to do forest school, and I was kind of going, in your head, it sounds to me like you want to do Enid Blyton, apple picking and on a check blanket and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I was going, forest school might be like shooting lasers at each other and pretending you're in Minecraft. It might, because you see all these pictures of like incredible green spaces and like people sometimes go, oh, it's not worth doing in like this corner of a school field. But if that's what you've got, then when I got trained to do forest school, like the idea is that you could do forest school anywhere. It's just the opportunities are different. Some places children don't get that physical development that they would get from climbing a tree, because they just don't have any climbable trees where they're located. So it just depends. But at the end of the day, it's still an outdoor space that they're accessing. They're outside. There's health benefits. They're getting the pedagogy.
Exactly.
They're doing all that.
Yeah. There's hundreds of reasons why it's good for them being outdoors.
Because is the next bit then that we campaign for more green space in London? Is it that we look for more leaders? What's the
like what Anna Richardson's doing? The children's forest. There's probably potential space to develop more forestry areas in London.
Like those roads that are owned by like Dubai millionaires, and we just knock them all down. Shall we go for
Not
that?
so much, but there are quite a lot of small green pocketed spaces that are just not doing anything.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? So it's how do we utilise those spaces? Or how do we develop it so that that there's we are supporting the whole thing around climate change and the whole thing with insects becoming endangered, certain species and stuff. So it's stuff like that we need to focus on, and trying to maybe develop the playgrounds. Quite a lot of them are still concrete. They're just not green enough, and there's a lot of health and safety around.
Health and safety fear.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes really hard, isn't it? When you're working, you try and work with a school, and you've got to go back down to like baby steps. Of like, okay, maybe it's not rubber corners on all the tables. Maybe it's not, meeting them where they are. Sometimes I think can be the hardest thing as a practitioner, where you want to go like, I can do this, do this amazing stuff.
Exactly.
I got to meet you here. And I got to work, and you got to do all that stuff. Or the children aren't allowed to go outside because in the playground it's wet and it's deemed too dangerous. It's definitely dangerous. How dare they? How dare children be allowed out in the wet? It's dangerous, but it's manageable. And how high
of a risk it is to the point where they need to be inside, it's not high enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how they manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you for chatting with me for a few minutes.
Welcome. Yeah.
Great.
So get some food.
Yeah, right. Just so I've got it.
Yeah.
Can I have your full name and where you work, and then I can get it right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So my name's Lauren Mills, and I work for Hackney Forest School.
Thank you. It's amazing.
Hi again, guys. So what you're about to hear is recorded at about 11:30, maybe 12 o'clock at night. In the background, you might be able to hear there's a line dance going on and a line dance caller teaching people how to do the line dance. But mostly what you're about to hear is two people who have been outside in the rain for hours on end, slightly losing their mind and losing their grip on reality. So enjoy, and thanks for listening.
Munch, munchy, pizza munch. Have you got dips?
I got dip.
Is that dip? Are they vegan dips?
Yeah, they're like...
Where's the dip? Is this the dip?
This is dip.
Where's double dip?
You have your own dip.
Oh, thanks.
It's like vegan garlic and hummus.
Amazing.
Not hummus. Garlic.
Listeners, we're eating pizza in the dark.
Sacrilege.
In a shelter in a tarmac kind of car park, and we're watching people. They've just finished a round of barn dancing. I'm going to call it barn dance, not Kaylee. They're all having a great time. Some of them are dressed up in sort of Halloween things. I don't really know why. Yeah, there's like some people with Halloween costumes on. And
we just said it feels like it's 1 a.m, but it's 9:30. It's very dark and there's not a lot of lighting.
And it's been raining all day, so everyone is very, very soggy. But the rain stopped now, so everyone's kind of going, "This is incredible!" because the rain stopped. So everyone's feeling slightly like elated. And we just won the quiz. We just won the quiz. That was pleasurable.
Thanks to me.
It was thanks to Lewis.
My answers were all wrong.
Thanks to Lewis. But there were more FSA members than you thought there were.
That's good. I'd rather be wrong in that front.
That is good, isn't it? 2,000 something rather than 1,000. But they did say we don't actually know.
No.
How can they not know?
Because it's always like a couple. It's always a couple of like months or something behind.
Oh, okay.
Also, there's lots of people on this new thing that's like, I can't remember what it's called. It's called like, it's not legacy. It's like if you're level 3 trained, but you're not currently working in a setting, but you want to stay on the map.
Oh, right.
You can get like a really cheap membership. So you stay on the system. If you then start a forest school, or you get a job doing something.
Dormant.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot more people doing that. It was a COVID thing. People weren't working. It was like, okay, go just jack it in.
Yeah. If you're poor, stay on. Right, got it.
Yeah.
Have you had a good day in the rain?
I had a good day in the rain. My head is so tired, and I can't work out if it's to do with...
Hang on, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just going to put the pizza box in front of the wind to stop the noise.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very professional windshield.
Sure. Till I eat the windshield.
Okay. Yeah, your head is full.
I can't work out if it's tired, because I didn't get much sleep last night, or the workshops are split into thinking and doing, and I picked 2 thinkings.
Yeah.
So I had a very heavy sociocratic play this morning. Then we listened to Tony Juniper talk.
He was actually amazing. I really... You thought I fell asleep. I fucking didn't. Okay. I was so cold.
Really you
like pissed yourself, nudged me in the ribs, and I was like, what? You were like, you've fallen asleep.
I had bundled myself up into my scarf and my woolly hat, and I was breathing very heavily into my scarf because I was enjoying the sensory feeling of the hot breath going all the way, all over my face because I was so cold and wet. I was never asleep. I was fully committed to what he was saying.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to be in any way interested in what he had to say, I'll be honest. By the end of it, I was like, yes, mate.
Why did it rouse you?
I think because I have read a lot of stuff about climate stuff and, biodiversity loss, but I've never heard somebody who actually knows shit talking in real life.
Right, okay.
And so there was a personal connection there for me in terms of like, like if you read something and you're amazed by it, but then for me, I obviously can't remember it afterwards. Like I can't remember a number. Like I'll be like, was it 40 or 400?
Yeah.
And then a person actually speaking to you about it, it's like, okay, I can actually connect to it. Yeah, and I can really connect to this, and it kind of like connected together forest school and the climate emergency for me. So we've done a podcast, haven't we, about like, is activism, does it have a place in forest school?
Yeah.
And today, the whole theme of the conference is climate of hope and sustainability and that shit. But we've had a day of it, like the beginning of it with what's her name,
the
Jo?
children's forest and yeah.
So she's like a psychotherapist, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And especially working with children and families, and now she's like an
eco anxiety or environmental anxiety.
Yeah, and she's like properly qualified kind of psychotherapist to do with eco stuff. And she was really passionate and she just was like, I'm not part of the FSA. I believe in what you do, but I've been through your website and there's no mention of the climate emergency on there, and so I'm begging you to like make it more explicit and make that link like clear to all the families, children, and schools you work with. And I was like, Jesus, you're really right. And then I think then Tony Juniper thing like really compounded it in terms of like, I think I've said before about it's all very well kind of us going, but nature connection is like really good for people, but then if you look at the research, it's like quite anecdotal, or it's like observation of one particular group, and you go, and then I think Tony Juniper made the link between why nature connection is a positive step in the right direction for the climate emergency, rather than it was like a kind of thing of like, if you've been in nature then you care for it, so then you won't fuck it up. But it was more than that, like the stuff that he had to say about kind of going back to a way of life that actually has been very ancient for humankind. It's only quite recent, it's only the last 200 years that we've been disconnected from nature, was his argument, wasn't it? Since industrialisation and stuff. And that there are communities in the world now who are living in harmony with nature and respecting it, and it wouldn't take, you could argue it wouldn't take much to get back to that in many ways for Western society, and that we are, as forest school practitioners, a key part of that. And I thought that was like a really nice link that felt real and tangible for me. I was like, okay, that is why we're doing it, rather than just like, it's really nice to be connected to nature.
Yeah, there were some interesting bits. I think he talked a lot about there was a bit towards the end where he was saying that like it's like the intrinsic, the isn't it lovely, the like softly nature's valuable for its own sake, for its beauty. He was like, that argument is still there, but we've been banging that drum for 30 years, 40 years. It's time to sort of change the song because that's clearly not getting through. And he was saying that he talks to like money people about money, and he talks to business people about business, but always talking about the environment, but sort of so this afternoon I did a workshop with Lily about needs, and she made the link that to Marshall Rosenberg's NVC stuff. And so she was saying, like,
that's non-violent communication, listeners.
Meeting needs, and saying that that it's that, but on a bigger scale. You know, going, okay, that person's need is financial. They're financially driven. Therefore, I should only speak to them from I should speak to their financial. The way Lily said it was, should speak to their need rather than from my own, which I quite liked as a simple way of distilling lots of interactions down, particularly in the woods. We go like, am I talking to you? Am I talking to your need right now, or from mine?
Yeah.
And it's probably more of the latter than I would like, more often than I would like. It's very. It was interesting. So I'm watching these people do this ceilidh, and it looks like utter chaos. I think that's what's giving it the 1 in the morning vibe.
Yeah, and someone is dressed as a Christmas tree, and another person is dressed as a unicorn. I don't understand why.
Because people have lost the plot. This is what happens when you take people who work outdoors all the time. You put them inside. You basically make them do wet play all day.
Yeah.
And then, push out. So you did some singing this afternoon.
Oh my God.
Tell me about the singing, because you told me about briefly.
Oh, so good. So it was with the Children's Forest, who have there's been quite a lot of links to, it's like mycelium, it's a fungal network, but theirs really does feel like that, because they wrote a book which we've got, and I meant to do a podcast review type thing about it. It's called The Children's Forest, and it's just a lovely book full of ideas. It's seasonal, and it's got a bit of Celtic wisdom in there, and bits and songs in there, but with the with the music.
Yeah.
And I haven't ever done anything with the music. So they spoke this morning about their project about planting children's forests, which is another thing they're doing. But then this afternoon was tree songs. So some of them are in the book and some of them are new and have been written since the book was published. And so there's a guy called Jack who had written some of the songs, and he was playing guitar and singing, and Anna Richardson was singing, and a lady called Pippa was singing. And for each tree song, they kind of told us a bit of lore about the tree and the Celtic name and some interesting information about it. And it was very deep and poetic, without being too off the wall. It was really meaningful. And
It
wasn't wanky, just really earnest, but in a good way. You know what you mean? You're so pure and earnest. I could never do that, but I really appreciate the fact that you can.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying spending time with you, because you are just talking about this tree with such reverence that I could never do in front of a group of 25 people in the rain in a tent. And the real sang, and we sang in harmonies, and it was just lovely and beautiful and really nice. So I'll try and drop some of the bits of singing into this podcast so you can hear bits of it, if the recording isn't too terrible. And it ended up with us singing to an apple tree in the rain, and it's this really beautiful big apple tree, and the apples had fallen on the ground, and I ate one of the apples. It was delicious, and it was still peeing down with rain, but I had a really good time, so that was lush. And and then a workshop with John Cree and Marina Robb in the morning about deeper nature connection and the kind of wheel of the year, and that was pretty deep, and ended up with us drinking nettle tea and breathing in the incense of cedar from somewhere in Sussex. Yeah, it was very nice.
You've had a very spiritual day, it sounds like.
Very nature connection, very spiritual.
Have you heard?
Yeah.
So
I won the quiz. We won the quiz. Sorry.
Have you heard? So I talked to Sarah Lawful about this earlier, but the microphone wasn't on. Oh. So there is.
The wind blew the pizza and
the pizza blew the phone.
And the pizza blew the phone, and the phone's on the floor. I think you might need to go a bit closer to the microphone, because I'm worried that all they're hearing is, "I'm back again! Don't you know?"
About the nature deficit doctor who is coming around.
Oh, I've seen a tree doctor with a coat, white coat.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's them, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently they gave her a shot of Nature Connection up the bum this morning.
Wow.
In front of a group.
Amazing. What does that consist of? Like,
she said she didn't know because it was behind her.
oh,
So
shove a bramble up her ass.
I don't think so. But she said it was very soothing that we needed to find them and talk to the tree doctor.
Oh.
So hopefully they'll be there before we go in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I didn't see that person. Yeah, I haven't done much like extracurricular.
It's been very busy.
It's been very busy and very rainy. I feel like if it had been sunshiny, there would have been a lot of people going, hey, buy this special item that I have crafted. Although I did buy some vintage tools and an enamel teapot, so I basically couldn't be happier. That's my dream.
Yeah.
Dream world.
Hoarding, virtuous hoarding.
Just bought there. I bought some stuff and I bought some chocolate. So yeah. And I did a quiz. That's also part of joy for me. Doing a pub quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're eating pizza. That's your joy.
That's my joy. That is my joy, right?
You saw somebody with their Domino's. You saw Rachel Summers with their Domino's box going, I've got some leftover pizza if anyone wants to buy it. It's still warm. And you just went, your face was just like, oh, I didn't realise you could get Domino's here. There are no takeaways in Devon.
I've never felt like such a bumpkin. I just went to drive and get it as well because I pressed the wrong button on the app.
Didn't?
Yeah. So I've been into the centre of Oxford on a Saturday night.
You're not joking me.
No, ma'am. I went in 3 clubs. I got off with 4 different people. Fucking jokes out there.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous.
So your van was not blocked in then?
No. It was good. Yeah, it was. The centre of Oxford is literally 5 minutes from here.
Is it really?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. It feels like we're in the middle of nowhere.
It does.
5 minutes.
Wow.
I'm going to stop talking and eat pizza now.
Let's stop.
Now stop, little phone, stop.
If you like this podcast and want to support more episodes, you can donate through Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Children of the Forest to show your support for the Forest School podcast. Find out about CPD courses at childrenoftheforest.com. Check out the podcast links for more details. Support the podcast today by becoming a Patreon member at childrenoftheforest.com. Check out the podcast links for more details.